Good evening, everyone, and welcome to day 7 of our Getting Started with Salesforce Service Cloud. And tonight, we're going to be covering Omnichannel. So basically, this is going to be an introduction to how to set up Omni and what Omni is all about and how to set up Omni in Salesforce. I'll be teaching you the two types of Omni setup, which is a queue-based and the skill-based. The skill-based would require some configuration, and I'll be showing you one or two things on how you can go about setting up a skill base. And in addition to that, we'll be looking into the Service Console, just to look at some of the features in Service Console and how you can create a new Service Console, as well as some of the things you need to look out for in the case feed Service Console layout. Okay, without wasting much time, let's quickly go into what we have for today. So again, I'm just going to give a very brief theoretical background of Omnichannel. Then we go into the hands-on up to practicalize something. So what is Omnichannel routing? In Salesforce, you want to manage cases, right? And cases are like inquiry, feedback, or questions a customer has asked. On Monday, we saw how we can use the assignment rules, escalation rules, and the auto-response rule to give feedback and manage cases. By default, that's the standard way to manage case, okay? If you don't have all the features of Service Cloud, the Omni and the likes, that's the normal way to manage a case. Yesterday, we looked at how to speed up case management in the sense that we need to prioritize who gets attended to first and who do we prioritize, or what kind of services we have to give our customer, okay? So it's still a series on that. Omnichannel routing is still a series on that case management. However, because of the interlinked with channels and solution design and the likes, we have to teach it on a separate day like this. However, the bottom line is whatever we're doing right now and since Monday, we have been trying to manage a case and make agent life more productive, okay? So Omnichannel provides an intelligence and productive tools to help agents. What does that mean? It means that you don't need to worry about who gets assigned a case. You don't need to worry about who is being overloaded with a case. You don't need to worry about whether an agent is effective or not. The intelligence is used to manage a case on behalf of the business, okay? Omnichannel routes work item to support agent based on the capacity, okay? Obviously, just like any other tool, there is, I will show you some tricks that you can use to make yourself seem busy when you're using Omnichannel, and you can bypass the intelligence side of Omnichannel. But then again, it's constantly being improved. And eventually that trick would be looked into, okay? So in a queue-based, priority is determined by how the work item has been waiting, okay? So let's say by work item, it's pretty much a case, but it could be another object. And if you're talking about another object, work item could be anything in that object. But when it comes to Omnichannel, and when we refer to work item, the work item is actually what this agent is currently working on, okay? And it's usually first in, first out, first assign, first relief, and the likes, okay? We're going to see some strategies into how this intelligence works shortly. So the types of Omni routing, like I said, we have a queue-based Omni routing, we have a skill-based Omni routing, and we have external routing. So the queue-based essentially is the default state, okay? The default state meaning that an agent is assigned to a queue, just like we have a normal queue in cases. Omni assigns to a queue and pushes work item to a member of that queue, meaning that you create a queue and agents start receiving a queue. However, the agent does not necessarily have to pick up that queue, pick up that work item. The item is automatically assigned to that agent based on you activating Omnichannel, okay? On the other hand, we have the skill. The skill base looks at the skills of that agent and is very it's mostly used in an organization whereby you have a lot of products, you have a lot of resources, you have a lot of you have different resources that attend to a particular product. For instance, you need to be able to speak Spanish in order to attend to someone from Spain. Then you need to have that skill, and you need to be technically inclined in order to resolve issue with a computer screen. Then you need to have that skill. So that skill-based routing, we'll be looking at the agent skill, and we'll be using the agent skill to address how to assign a work item, in this case, a case record, to the agent. And the external routing is, okay, Salesforce is great, but you want to maintain your current routing system. Maybe there's an external or a partner of Salesforce has created a routing tool in the App Exchange, and you would rather use that, okay? So that requires a bit of API development, integration, and the likes. However, it's also available for you in case you want to use it. We're not going to be setting that up tonight, but then again, it's something that you could think about, and it's something that you should know as a consultant. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, the default state of this queue of this routing is the queue-based routing. Okay, so before you get into Omni routing and the likes, it's very important to know some of the key terminologies, because the key terminologies determine when we're setting up the Omni, you would be able to relate to those terminologies. Okay, so the first one you need to know is the routing priority. This is very important. Why is it important? Because it determines the order in which work items are pushed. So when you're setting up an agent, when you're setting up a queue, you determine the priority of that queue, meaning that you can't say you have a priority of 1, meaning that the agent assigned to this priority would take cases first before an agent that is assigned to priority 5. Okay, so priority of cases is very important. And I'll tell you what happens when you have a tie, but you know that we have routing priority. The next is we have routing model. Routing model is essentially how you plan to distribute the work items. Again, work items is the case. It as okay, you have we have majorly 2 types of routing model, right? We have the least active and we have the most available. So what that means is that if someone has not been taking item for a very long time, Omnichannel will sense that, oh, this guy hasn't taken any item for a long time, and is going to assign a case to that guy or to that agent. And the most available is this guy is available, meaning that the difference between the work item capacity and the open work item is what determines the availability of that agent, and determines whether this guy this agent has higher availability compared to an agent that hasn't been active. Okay, so what that means is that when you have a case open and you have like 5 cases open on the tab, right? You have 5 cases open on a tab like that. Then the Omnichannel will be looking at, okay, how many tabs are open? By tabs, I mean work items. Okay, you're already familiar with the case feed layout, but tabs, I mean work items. Okay, so if you are checking the work items, it's going to be looking at, okay, this guy has 5 work items. Okay, and this guy is working on, let's say, 2 items, and this guy has 5 items. So it's going to be looking at, depending on the model you've selected, it's going to be looking at, oh, is this guy available to pick up another item? If this capacity is getting to 10, or maybe the maximum capacity set for this guy is, let's say, 6, then obviously this guy is almost getting to his capacity, right? And you want to maybe now say, okay, I'm going to route it to another person that is available to pick up work, even though this guy is, the other agent might be busy, but the other agent might not have up to 5 items open on their tab, okay? So most available and the least active is very crucial, determining how you want to assign tasks, or by tasks, I mean work items, to your agents. Okay, so let's go into more details about this least item and most available strategy, because it's very important when you're setting it up, and you need to understand how it really works. Okay, if your routing configuration uses the least active routing model, Omnichannel will look for the agent who currently has the least amount of work. That means the work item open is just small. It's not 5. Then it's going to like, okay, let me assign work to this agent. If it's most available, then the agent who has the largest gap between the maximum amount of work they can undo and the amount of work that they are currently working on. So if the agent has been assigned a capacity of 20 and the max they can undo is 5 at a time, then if the max available is 5 at a time and the capacity is 20, okay, and there's another agent that has 4 and the max they can undo as well is 5. The one that is available is the one that has 4, not 5, okay? So the most available is, okay, I have this guy that is able to undo based on his capacity. So it's using the availability as well as the capacity of that agent. Again, one thing you need to understand is that you cannot have both of them active at the same time. So you just need to know which of them you really want to implement in your business and use that to determine how to move forward with your business. But then again, remember, Omnichannel is used in a very busy working environment whereby agent productivity really matters. Like, you are keeping tab of this agent productivity. So let me give you an example. If you have your case opened right now and you pick up an item, if this tab is open, the agent is assumed to be working even if the agent is not working. So people can easily bypass this omnichannel strategy, okay? However, obviously your computer needs to be on and you need to be working on an item. At least one tab needs to be active. However, what I'm trying to say is that I can keep a tab active without actually working on that tab. Unless there's another tab, or unless there's another metric they're looking at to see my performance for working on this item. So I can have this tab open without actually doing anything, and the omnichannel would think that I am busy. So it's not going to be assigning me any tasks. Okay, so it's very important to know there are some loops or gaps that can be bypassed when you're using omnichannel. And if there's a tie, the omnichannel routes the work to the agent who received a work item that is the longest. So if an agent received an item 8 minutes ago and another agent received an item 7 minutes ago, then if there is a tie in terms of priority, in terms of work item, the agent will look at, okay, this guy has received this task 8 minutes ago. Let me give him another task, or let me give her another task. Okay, so if there's a tie, that's what the omnichannel will be looking. But then again, this is computer and it can easily be manipulated. Furthermore, we have work item size. Like I explained earlier, this specifies the size of the work items in the queue associated with this configuration, meaning that when you're creating omnichannel, you need to create what they call routing configuration and channel configuration. You can size items by the number of units or the percentage, meaning that you can determine how many items can be sent to an agent at a particular time. How many items do you have available for you to use in Salesforce? There's a limit to the number of items you can even put on the backlog. There's a limit to all those stuff, and this work item size will determine which item come into display at that instance. Presence configuration. You setting up omnichannel does not mean that the agent would accept that task when the agent is given that task. For instance, an agent can set their availability to be busy. Then omnichannel will sense that, okay, I'm busy I'm on break, I'm not available, then a work item will not be assigned to that agent. However, if the agent set the availability to available, then you can assign tasks or work item to that agent. So the presence configuration is determined first before you determine the status of the agent. So agents set their status, but you configure the presence configuration towards the channels, okay? With the presence configuration, you can specify your agent overall capacity for work items, and agents can determine whether to decline an assignment or not, okay? So now let's go to presence status. So the presence status lets agents indicate when they are online, like I mentioned earlier, and when they can receive work. So when you're creating a configuration, you have to determine whether this type of status is busy. Busy meaning that the agent cannot accept work. Or this type of status is available, meaning that the agent can accept work. So whatever category you select will determine whether the agent can accept work or not. For instance, you can say available, but limited, or just, kind of like the kind of status you put on your WhatsApp Messenger, your Yahoo Messenger, your MSN Messenger at some point in the late 2000s. Those are the kind of things you can put as status. However, the category of the status will determine whether the omnichannel can accept, the omnichannel can send item to the agent or not. Skills. Skills are very important when you enable routing model that has to do with skills. What does that mean? It means if you have enabled a skill-based routing model, then you need to configure the skills of every agent working for you. What that means is that if you have 100 agents working and you have different skill sets that can be used to resolve a case, not all cases can be resolved by everyone. Maybe you have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 customer support, or you have people that speak different languages. Then you can create different skills and assign those skills to an agent. Then Omnichannel will be looking at a particular skill relative to what the agent can do. So what you need to do to enable Omnichannel skill-based routing is to, first of all, create the resource agent. After creating the resource agent, you will assign skills for that resource agent. Okay, so it can be very technical and it can be very hard to manage. Ideally, for small business, you don't need to go all this way to enable skill-based omnichannel because it can be very hard to manage. And once you set it up, it might be very hard to roll back. Okay, so be aware of the things you're doing. In addition to that, let's see how to quickly, let's say we want to set up a simple omnichannel in Service Cloud right now. What I would recommend is, first of all, you need to have a user that has a Service Cloud license. So what that means is that you cannot just set or assign agents anyhow. The agent needs to have the right license. So you need to have a Service Cloud license. It's not just the normal Salesforce license. It is a feature license you need to have. In addition to that, you need to enable Omnichannel. Enabling Omnichannel means that you want to start using Omnichannel to route your cases. So when cases are being created, does not necessarily mean that Omnichannel will kick in. No, it means that a queue-based Omnichannel is active, and if it has the right routing configuration, you will be able to use it. Create a service channel. Creating a service channel is saying that, okay, I want to be monitoring XYZ objects, in this case, case. Case is our service channel. It could be work item objects. It could be other objects that you want to use Omnichannel for. Remember, Omnichannel is for an assignment. It is not just for case objects, but an assignment, meaning that I want to change the case owner using Omnichannel. I want to direct who owns this case. I want to direct who owns this record. Okay? That's the whole idea of Omnichannel. It's not just about, oh, I want to assign case to a particular agent. No, it's about I want to assign a particular record to a particular owner. That's Omnichannel. Okay? Because you can also use Omnichannel for chats. You can enable live chats and use Omnichannel to route chats. So it's not just for case, but you can use it for chats. In addition to that, you have to create your routing configuration. So you determine if you want to use a skill base or you want to use the queue base, okay? The default is a queue base. Then you have to you have to create queue for the object of interest. Like I said, you can use other objects like work item, but case is obviously a very good example of how to use the Omnichannel. Okay? Now, create an assignment through. This is optional, but you can use this to automatically assign cases to the queue that is used for the Omnichannel of this service channel. Okay? It makes life easier for you so you don't have to manually assign queue. You don't have to manually assign cases to the Omnichannel queue. It's just automatically based on an assignment. You set your presence, meaning that you want to accept cases, okay? Then you assign the users and the profiles that would be using the queue and the configuration you've set. Then obviously you enable skills if you want to use the skill-based routing. Then you create skills, set up the resources, and assign the skill. Then you test your Omni routing. That's like a very simple way to set your Omnichannel. So without wasting much time, let's go into the Trailer and practicalize this. For us to practicalize this, I'm going to go into the hands-on org. Okay? I'm going to go to knowledge management setup. I think the org is still free of Omnichannel. Then I'm going to close all this. Okay? And I'm going to focus on setting up Omnichannel. So I go to my service setup. But before I go to service setup, let me see if we have a user and I can access that user. User. So we have an extra user and this is the username, okay? So I'll just put this somewhere here. I'm going to sign out of this. I'm going to open an incognito window. Okay, so we can kind of like see how the Omnichannel is working, okay? Then I sign in to this user. Hopefully I still have the password, otherwise I'm just going to reset. Let me try again. Okay, I have to reset. I think I misplaced the password. So I'm just going to reset the password using the setup because I don't think I've ever accepted the user in the first instance. That's why I got that, okay? So I'm going to click on this guy and I'm going to click on reset password, okay? Then I should be able to see another email. Okay. Again, I'll just go back to my incognito mode. The reason why I'm using this is because we want to test for 2 users, okay? The reason why it's asking me for verification is because I'm logging in from a browser that the computer is not familiar with. We did this in our admin classes. So now I have 2 browsers, which is fine. And I want to set myself as a system admin in this account, in both accounts, just to make things easier for me, okay? So I go back to, I close all these windows so they are not active sessions. I launch this again. Then I go to users in the setup. I go to my users, okay? And I edit this profile. I want to make it a system admin, okay? It's just kind of like make things easier. But remember, what are the things we're looking at? We're looking at, the most important thing here is Service Cloud user, okay? We're looking at Service Cloud user because without Service Cloud user enabled, this guy would not be able to use the Service Console, okay? That's first thing you need to look at, okay? So let me ensure that this guy is me, okay? So now that we have that, and let me sign out of this guy and sign in again because we just changed this guy's profile. So it's very important we sign in and sign out just to make sure that the new session has an admin profile, okay? So I have this and I log in again. Okay, so now we have 2 sessions active. So let's get started with the Omni setup. The first thing, like I said, is make sure that you have at least enough users or enough agents that can work as enough user with the right license that can work as an agent, okay? So you don't set up Omnichannel because you can set up Omnichannel. You do business analysis to find out if the business can actually use Omnichannel. They have the right license, and you go to Service Setup. When you go to Service Setup, you go to View All, because I want to do all those setup. Remember, View All. Then you look for Omnichannel. Just like the chat, it's very straightforward. I can follow the steps, which I have set up here. It's still the same way, but I'll show you everything. You click on Start and you say, okay, I want to create a queue name. Remember, the queue is where the work item will be sent to, okay? I'll just call it support, Black for support. And the agent is technology support. Okay, or you can just call it operations. Operations team. There's another user group. Okay, just call it. I think we already created something similar because of our chat setup in our knowledge management. So this is just about, okay, I'm going to call it technology support. Okay, that's fine. So Black for support would have technology support. They will have billing support. They can have tech case management support, but obviously we're talking about cases, but the agents are very important, okay? Agents such as technology support would not be picking up technology issues. And you can set up other support agents, but queue name can still be generic, okay? So I'm assigning these 2 users. As you can see, the number of users really matters when it comes to setting up this, okay? So always watch out for the number of users you are trying to use. Now I go to next. This is very important, the routing configuration. So you're setting up the routing configuration and it's asking you, create a routing configuration for Black for support. This is the priority. Remember what I said? Routing configuration tell Omnichannel how to route work items to agents. They also prioritize and size work across your queue. let's make a new routing configuration. I'm going to put this at 1, okay? But you can also create another support group and put it as 2. Then it's going to be looking at Black Force support 1 as the first thing it needs to be looking at when it's routing work items, okay? Now, so let's set how much work your agent can undo at once, meaning that how many tasks how many work items, by work items, again, I mean cases. How many cases can you give to an agent before they reach their capacity? Okay, so I'll just make this very simple so we can easily test. I'll say 1 and the capacity is 2. Okay, so when we get to, then it just stop. Okay, so we go to next. And that's all. That's all for Omnichannel. You set up Omnichannel, you click on finish. Yeah, it seems easy. So now let's refresh this and look at our step. Our step is what we intend to do, but using that setup automatically creates everything we needed besides 1 or 2 things. So let's walk through the first thing in Omnichannel. We have limits. What are limits? Current pending service routing, meaning that Salesforce has given us 200,000, right? And you have used 0. So what that means is that if you create a case right now, if you have an Omnichannel setup, you create a case right now, you've used 1. Then you create another case, you want to assign it to a user, you've used 2. Okay, you have 200 limits. Remember, you can increase all this, but then again, this is a hands-on org and you have this. So if you're using a full-fledged Salesforce Service Cloud, you probably have more or you can buy more. Now, you have what they call the settings. It's automatically enabled for us because we went through the setup process. If you did not go through the setup process, you have to type in Omnichannel and you enable Omnichannel from the quick find. However, because you use the setup process, it is automatically enabled for you. The second thing is the skill base. We're not trying the skill base right now. Maybe before the end of the session, we're going to try the skill base. But for now, let's keep it empty. Then we save. If you've made any changes, you save. But we haven't made any changes, so keep it like that. The next thing we need to look at is service channels. Remember, service channels is what is happening. Service channel is I am setting up Omni to be looking at cases. That means you cannot have case channel again. You can only have 1 service channel per object. If you try to create another service channel right now, it's not going to let you create it because you've already created it for case. Okay, so that's service channel. Again, this was automatically created for us before because we use the setup process. Now, let's go to routing configurations. Remember the routing configuration I told you about? This is it. When you're creating a routing configuration in your setup, you have a lot of things you're putting in, but you can see we are using Black Force support as a routing configuration. We are using the routing priority of 1 and the routing model most available. Okay, you can change it to list active and you can change it to external routing. We're not going to be using external routing. We're going to be using list active or most available. Okay, and obviously you have to talk to the business. Don't just create Omnichannel because you want to create Omnichannel for the business. Create Omnichannel because the business is struggling with assignment of cases. If business is getting 100 cases a day, 10 cases per hour, maybe it's not really a big deal. So remember, the routing configuration determines the order in which items are pushed to the agents. Higher priority work is pushed before the lower priority work. Okay, so now we set it as 1. That means this Omnichannel will be focused on this. If you have other configuration, there are 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be the first priority in terms of pushing to an agent. But remember, Omni is trying to push to someone to get an attention of that person. We have different channels. We have the chats, we have the messaging, we have the chats, we have the messaging, and we have different medium which cases can come into the system. So Omni is just looking for the priority and is setting it based on the priority. In addition, the routing model determines how to distribute work items to your agent, okay? Like as I explained earlier, most and the least active is used in the default. However, if you want to use a partner logic or routing system, you can configure the external routing. And unit of capacity is just one. You can change this to 2, you can change it to 3, doesn't matter. By the end of the day, you cannot change it to something illogical. For instance, you cannot change it to 20 and you have if you have 100 agents and you're changing this to 20, that means maybe some agents will never get any job for the day, okay? You save. So now we have this. Again, remember, you have routing configuration, you have service channel, you have presence configuration. So what is presence configuration? Presence configuration is how you want to set up who can use the you can use the routing configuration you set up. Okay, I click on edit. I click on edit and I make sure that the guys or the people, the agents that can use these routings are the users I have created or the users that have the right service cloud license. In addition to that, you can even restrict it to profiles and say, okay, only admins can use this routing configuration. But obviously that kind of like doesn't make sense. It's better for you to use a profile of customer support then, or maybe you use a profile of technology support, okay? Maybe like a custom profile. So don't limit who can have access to this configuration based on the system admin, okay? It defeats the whole purpose of a system admin. Now that you have that, you also want to do present status, okay? Present status is when you are using that configuration. An agent can indicate whether they are online and available to receive work for that particular configuration. As you can see, the channel is Omni Setup, which is a case channel. So because of our setup flow, a default available case has been created, but you can also create your own by stating available but busy. You know, if you want to create something like that for agent to use, or available tentatively. Oh, no, tentatively actually is a good status, right? Tentatively. Okay. And online meaning that they can accept work item. Busy mean that they are tentatively, they cannot accept work item. But more importantly, make sure you drag the channel. So anytime someone is signed up and the work item is coming from a chat channel, then they can set this status. If it's coming from Omni Setup Flow, they can set the status, okay? By Omni Setup Flow, that's for cases that we created. Now that you have that, you go to the profile. And once you go to the profile, you go to System Admin, and you make sure that the presence is enabled. Sorry, that's not the properties I want to go. I think you go to the app permission. Okay, I need to, let me see. Just give me 1 minute. I want to go to presence. Okay. Edit presence and make sure that all these statuses are available for the user. Okay. If you don't set it, then the user will not be able to accept new requests, new work item. Okay. So now that we've covered all these bases, we can now go to a typical service console application. What do I mean by that? We have different applications, but this is an example of a service console application because it is a console-based application, okay? So how do you go to your app manager and you go to service console and you enable Omni if it is not enabled in the utility item, okay? Utility item is what you see here. This is the utility bar. So if Omni is not enabled, this is where you drag it into visibility, okay? But as you can see, Omni is already enabled by default because we ran the setup. The setup is very key if you want to have a flawless Omni setup, okay? So now that we have created that, we need to do one more thing, which is a queue. We need to create a queue that would accept Omni and will be okay, hold on for 1 minute. This is the queue we created, and it's already by default accepting the names, okay? So again, because you've used the setup process, all the stuffs I listed here were created automatically. However, if you haven't used the setup process, you can create it manually. Manually can require more work and a bit of configuration, but you need to know what you're doing, okay? So now that we have that, we can easily just go to cases and try to initiate Omni, okay? New, and you have a new case, okay? And you save. Before you can start using Omni, you need to be active, okay? By active, you need to say you are available for chat. So let me refresh this. And available case. As you can see previously, I only have available for chat and busy on break and the likes, but now I have available for case tentatively, meaning that I can take cases, okay? So I've just created a new case, but let me create a new case again. I create this case, which pretty much I need help with my learning. This case can be coming from anywhere. I save. And the most important thing is assigning that case to the Omni queue, okay? Once you assign it to the Omni queue and you change, you will see that this agent is now ready to pick up this case, okay? I'm going to create another case and I will assign it, I will create it, change the assignment to queue. The agent is being alerted to pick up another case. Okay, let's create another case. And we created another case. You can put subject here or anything you want. You save and you change the owner to queue. The agent is not picking up this case. It's not taking this case. Do you know why? Because we've set the capacity to 2, and the agent can only work on 1 at a time. So the agent has not accepted the case. In fact, the case is not even coming to the agent queue. However, if you go to your Omni, you will see that you are using this, okay? Okay, you're using this 3. Meanwhile, you only have 2 in the queue. So let me go to the other guy that I set up the last time and make him available. This is another user, okay? I refresh this user and I make this guy available. The moment I make this guy available, this guy accepted, this guy automatically get assigned to the case that was on queue. Okay, that case was created long ago, but there was no one to pick it up. But immediately this guy came online, the case automatically get routed to him or to her or whoever the agent is. I create another case. Okay, I create another case, save. I change it to the Black Force support because this guy is an admin. He can do anything. The guy got another case. So now we have 4 cases. Okay. If I create another case, no one is going to pick that case up until the agents are done with the cases they are working on. Okay. So now no one is picking it up. Okay. I go back to this guy and I accept the case. So now it says there's a case in the queue and this agent is currently working on a case. Now the question is this agent going to accept another case? If I create another case, would this agent take up that case or would the Omnichannel route it to this agent? The Omnichannel is not routing it to that agent because the capacity of this agent is 2. The capacity of this agent is 2. So in as much as this guy has accepted this case, is working on this case currently, you need to close this case. Okay, let's see how we can close this case. Close. After you close this case, you need to close. Once you close, a new item will come in. But remember what I told you. If you open up a case, you can decide to be playing around on this case and not do anything. And Omnichannel would think that you're still working. So in as much as people can run away from cases or they can just accept cases without actually working on it. Until you close this case, that's when Omnichannel will give you another case. If you don't close the case, Omnichannel will not give you another case. So this, in as much as is a very, very beautiful concept, very, very intelligent, it is still dependent on the loyalty of the support agent that is working on the case. So now you've seen how we created a very simple case. Let's see how we can automate this process. Remember, you have what they call assignment rules. When I created the case, I needed to always go and change it to the queue. But that defeats the purpose of Omnichannel. If you have to constantly go and change it to the queue, it defeats the purpose. You're not really using Omnichannel. Someone is still doing manual work. Now you want to eliminate manual work. You want to make it automated. Guess what? Our friend assignment rule. We are bringing assignment rule into play. And we say, I'll just create a new assignment rule for Black Force. Okay, I make it active and I save. So remember, from your definition of assignment rule from Monday class, you can assign a new case based on a criteria. So I want to say, anytime a new case comes into the system, anytime a new case comes into a system, I want to do what? I want to assign the case to the Omnichannel queue. So I select the queue. I look for the black for support queue, okay? And I save. So now that I have created, anytime a case comes in and the status is new, please assign it to black for support queue. And what is black for support queue? Black for support queue is the one routing our case to the Omnichannel. So I go back to case, I go to new, and I type in, I need help, okay? Because this is status new, active assignment rule is in place, save, and you go to this guy, you see the case. If I accept this, and I close this, and I close this, meaning that this guy, another case came in, accept it, I close, another case came in, accept, and I close. Okay, so you've seen no case to be worked on. You go back to this guy. I want to close the item this guy is working on. So both agents are now free. A new case now comes into the system. Okay. Someone needs help. Okay. Assignment rule is active. Save new. Automatically. I don't need to change the case owner because the case owner is automatically assigned based on the assignment rule for Black Force process. Okay. So if you look at Black Force support, because the case is assigned with Omnichannel, this guy gets automatically assignments. And if you try to create another case, okay, as long as the status is new and assignment is in place, the guy keeps getting the case, okay? The guy keeps getting the case. This is the guy getting the case. So what is he looking at? He's looking at the availability to determine the routing of the case, okay? This is how you set up Omnichannel. This is how you set up the queue-based Omnichannel. This is how you automatically assign the case to an agent without having to go to the queue and start saying, okay, Black Force support, previously you click on that case and you accept. But now you don't have to do that. It automatically assigns that case. So I'm going to take a pause here to find out if you guys have any questions based on what I've said and I can explain further. Please raise your hand up and I'll call you according to how your hands are being raised. Thank you. Okay. Is everything okay? Do you guys have any questions? Just to be sure, before we continue. Hafia, unmute yourself and speak, please.
Hi, Babatope. Could you just explain the work capacity one more time?
Okay. Let me explain. So let's go back to the work capacity. You go to, and we go to, so is it a work item you want me to explain?
No, I understand the work item. The capacity, I think you chose two. I guess what I'm trying to understand is both agents, they were at a capacity when the two new cases came in. So what if more cases came in and they still had the cases open, for example? At that point, where would the Omnichannel route those other cases to? Will it just be waiting?
It should be on the queue. Yeah, it should be on the queue waiting until they close that tab before they get a new case. Because we made it to, so all support agents should be working based on these two capacity. Once they've attended to all the cases that are open, then they close it. If they don't close it, it will still be waiting in the queue. It's like a virtual queue. Okay, you don't get to see it, but it's like a virtual queue that is within Salesforce. And anytime the agent closes the case, that's when the next item goes on that agent list. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Adeneye, please unmute yourself and speak.
Yeah, thanks, Babatope. One thing to follow up with what she just asked was that who assigns the capacity, or how do we judge the capacity of the agent or the support team?
It's based on the business. The business will use data. Okay, so you cannot employ a new agent today and start giving them 5 cases or 10. I mean, obviously that's like very minor compared to the reason why you're implementing Omnichannel. I put 2 years so we can actually demonstrate this. Okay, in an ideal situation, it could be 10, it could be 100. Do you get what I mean? But obviously, you don't want to overwhelm the agent. However, this should be data driven. Find out how many cases do you receive in an hour? How many agents do you have to work on cases? How many agents will be available in an hour? Then you can now start assigning, optimizing this capacity. But then again, it has to be driven based on data and business. In addition to that, there is what they call supervisor's configuration. A supervisor can see how an agent is doing. Okay. So if an agent is lying or trying to pretend that they are working, supervisor can see it. So you've been on this case for how many minutes and you haven't done anything about it. So you can create a supervisor configuration and you can now see what the agents are doing. So you can see the number of cases the agent is working on in real time, and you can now start helping the agent to provide support or something that would help the agent close that case. Okay? So again, to answer your question, business determines the capacity. Okay? And you can use it to determine the size of that agent and the capacity of that agent. Okay?
Okay. The other thing I was going to ask, I think someone put in the chat, was the priority. So when we were doing this, you showed priority maybe 1 to 5 or something. And I believe we chose 1 for this thing we're doing. Yes. That priority, I just wanted to be sure, is it for case or the priority is assigned to the support team? Because you can have multiple support teams working on different cases. So would that priority that we chose, would that be for case or the team? Like who gets assignment first, who gets a task first?
That's an interesting question. And to my understanding, priority is based on the medium of channel. It's called omnichannel, meaning that you have case, you have chats, you can have live chats. So case does not mean that if the agent is assigned a case, then they cannot be chatting. They are not available for chats. Can you see there's available for chat as well? There's available for case. So priority is based on which one should be assigned first. Okay. Am I going to be looking for agents that is available for case? If agents are available for case, what's the priority of that channel? If agents are available for chat, what's the priority of that channel? Which one do I prioritize first? That's what priority is all about. It's looking for the agent, but what is the agent available for? And it's prioritizing based on that. Because when you're setting up the configuration, you know that it gives you priority, right? It gives you priority. So the priority, look at this is chat priority. This is Black Force support priority. It could be another thing, another medium. That's the priority. So you can use Omnichannel for different channels, but the priority determines which one is considered first. Is it going to be prioritizing chat agents or is it going to be looking for case support agents? You get what I mean?
Yeah, so the priority is not in any way related to the significance of the case or the importance of the case.
No. The significance of the case is not determined by your assignment. Can you see the assignment? The case assignment true. You can now configure, maybe you can say if it is new and this priority is high, then you can assign it to Black Force support queue. If it is new and priority is low, you can assign it to Black Force tier 2 support team. If it is new and priority is medium, you can assign it to Black Force intermediate support team. You know, that one is the assignment rule is different from the omnichannel priority. Okay?
Okay. All right. Thanks, boss.
No worries. Babs Kent, please.
Yeah, boss. Thank you again. Thank you for blessing every one of us today again. My two questions. The first one is on. I'm thinking obviously this might also not apply as an engineer. Is there? I'm sure when they considered it, they think about things like slack variable or buffer. Meaning, do I have to do I have to have a kind of overflow of cases where the whole capacity is not filled up? Is it something that we can consider, or I can set up like a rule, a special rule, maybe an assignment to say that look, you must leave room for maybe exceptional cases? Do we have to do that, or that's not something that is often considered? That's my first question.
Yeah, that's a good question. The problem with that is that for you to be implementing omnichannel, that means you are almost getting worried about agent productivity. So omnichannel is not just for any small business. If a small business wants to set up omnichannel, you ask them why. So if a big business wants to set up omnichannel, that buffer will be assigned to maybe the supervisor. By default, supervisor shouldn't be picking up case. They should just be supervising agents. So supervisor will also be available, but it could be tentative, and their priority of assignment could just be low. Supervisor's queue will be low. So it's assigned to them last or something like that. Okay, that will be my own implementation of the buffer strategy. However, business can determine, consultant will now technically suggest what the business to do based on potential issues with not having even a single agent to attend to a case. Do you get what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense now. So it's something that can be discussed with the business to say, hey, you might want to consider this leave space for maybe 10 slots where in case you have this very high priority that you can't obviously throw anywhere that you want to assign to your very special agent outside the regular rules that you have for the everyday use.
Yeah, but also remember there's what they call escalation rules, right? There's so many things in place that can help you manage your cases. You don't have to always have that buffer. Just escalate a case that needs attention immediately. You get?
Got you. So the second thing is the I don't know if we covered this at any point, but I know that they have the Service Cloud Voice that is replacing CTI. Is this something that we need to worry about now, or is it something that is just not necessary? That's the Service Cloud Voice, and also the native SMS support that they also have as part of the things that I know Salesforce tries to sell. In addition,
okay, let me just tell you one secret, right? Salesforce is really pushing hard, but to be honest, only few people know how to do what I'm teaching right now. I've not used omnichannel in the industry before, even though it's there. I've never used it. The only time I've used I've used assignment, I've used entitlement, I've used auto response, I've used email to case, I've used all those stuff. But omnichannel is used by major people. Large enterprise. If you want to work with AWS, Amazon, then you can be using omnichannel definitely. Okay. And if you look at the CTI, it's mostly used by Amazon, Bell, and the big guys. So if you're not planning to work for the big guys, focus on the things that you can easily monetize. Monetize your skill rapidly. You don't need to actually work a lot to make money from Service Cloud. You just need to know which of the skills are relevant to the businesses you want to target. Because you cannot know everything in Salesforce. There's so many things Salesforce is bringing out, but they're also playing around. They're also experimenting. Who needs this, who wants to use it. And sometimes they create a product because one of their clients wants it, and they will roll it out to everybody. Now they start bringing certification under that product. You know, like Salesforce is a business of licensing. And once a major client that can buy 10,000 license requires a product, they get their engineers to go create something. And now you will be subjected to learning that stuff, thinking that you needed to get a job. No, focus on the basic stuff of Salesforce and you will be good. Unless obviously you want to become a director or architect of AWS, then obviously you need to focus on the technicality of those tools because you want to be a SME in that field. Okay, that's just my own opinion. But then again, Salesforce will bring another things tomorrow. Salesforce will change the way this stuff works tomorrow, and you have to learn it. So focus on the tiny bits that can monetize your skill rapidly, and you get out of this, unless obviously you're still very inclined to be working for a very long time. Okay? Chima, please unmute yourself and speak.
Yes, Babatope, thank you very much again. I just want to you might have answered my question from what the last speaker said, but I want to ask anyway. You have worked in the industry and you have used service cloud. Of course, you say you have not used Omnichannel, but I want to know as a consultant, in what situation have you gone past the native features that Salesforce provide in Service Cloud, but to use your own, maybe a custom automation process to solve a problem in Service Cloud? I ask this question because I know businesses, depending on their requirements, might have different needs and the different solution they want to problem they want to solve. Of course, what you have done here is very, very straightforward, and a consultant can do everything that you have said so far and deliver a solution to a client. But I want to know,
I'm just giving you what I would do. Again, remember, it is cost-benefit analysis. Cost-benefit analysis. Would you want to hire a consultant and engage a consultant for 1 year to implement Omnichannel, or you want to use a partner already made Omnichannel too and utilize? I don't waste time. I have never wasted my time before. If I see something will be taking me time to do, it's not worth my time. I don't redesign the wheel. I don't try to be smart when I'm consulting. I try to be effective. Consulting is about getting out, not locking yourself. Unless you want to get a retainer's salary whereby they consult you every other month or something, then that's fine. But if you want to get out on time, always recommend. This is Omnichannel setup. Install it. All what we've done is BS. You can do this. The customers say they want to get performance dashboard. Don't go and start creating report and dashboard. Install this one. It's free.
Oh my God.
Do you get what I mean? Don't engage yourself and start to be smart. Let me tell you the level which you need to be going as a consultant. I want to close 10 deals in a month, equivalent to $100,000. Don't want to rely on 15K a month as a full-time consultant. No, you want to be closing deals. Do you get what I mean? So I told you this stuff during admin class. Anytime you want to implement a solution, look at the cost-benefit analysis. That's why the certification is there, to always guide you. What do you do? What would you recommend? Always go for app exchange if the stuff will take time to do. Okay? So that's my recommendation. But then again, I haven't used Omnichannel, so I cannot do much about Omnichannel. But this is what I would do if I'm faced with any challenge that I cannot solve immediately.
Right. So my second question is this. I've already asked this last time, but I just want to ask a different one. You're not going to provide the knowledge, have this in your knowledge base in a single login, the videos. But what about the PDF document that you use to explain the step that you are taking? Can you make it available to us there?
Okay. I will send this out. It keeps I will send it out tomorrow. All the documents I use because this one I went theoretical before going hands-on, because I need to explain certain things before going into hands-on. Otherwise, you guys will get lost. So you guys deserve to have this document. So I will send it to you ASAP, maybe tomorrow. I will send it out to everyone registered on the Service Cloud or professionals. Okay?
Okay, so it will only be for Omnichannel or the other ones you have already?
Everything.
Okay.
Day 1 to day 7 right now.
Okay, and the coming ones too. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, good stuff. Let's carry on. So now you've seen the basics of omnichannel routing and it looks easy, but there is more to omnichannel routing than just what we've seen. This is a very complicated one. So please, if you get lost, it's okay. However, we don't probably need to we don't have to implement this in the real life. Okay. Most likely someone experienced would implement this and they would just ask you to do one or two things. And that's what the skill-based omni routing. So the skill-based is a case of right now, we have case and you can see they just getting the case. There is no logic behind, okay, why is this person getting the case and the likes? There's no logic behind it. Now let's put a bit of logic behind it. I want this agent to only receive cases that I want this agent to be able to receive cases that it's mechanical. I want this agent to be able to receive cases that is electrical. I want this agent to be able to receive cases that is products GC1040 and the likes. So this is where a skill-based omnichannel can be used. A skill-based omnichannel routes work item based on the skill of the agent. Okay, so let's try to see if we can get this working. I will go to omnichannel and I will go to the settings of omnichannel and I will enable the skill base. Okay. Now that you've enabled the skill base, you will see the skills here. So the skills are what you create. Okay. English, Spanish, tech support, operation support, billing support, whatever it is. These are the skills of the agent. So if there is something matching a skill, the agent will be taking it. If the case does not match the skill, the agent will not take it. So you go to new and you create a skill, okay? Again, remember, use skills to track expertise, agent, field, and the stuff, okay? And you select, okay, let's just say I create English skill. And I don't need to, because we have a chat available, you can see this, okay? So we have system admin, okay? Save. Then we have the skill, okay? You've created a skill. Then what you need to do is once you have a skill in place, you need to create agents, okay? You need to create agents and you need to assign skills to that agent, okay? Go to Object Manager, go to Service. You go to the service resource because service resource are the agents which you're creating, okay? Go to, oh, there's no page layout. Create a new page layout and call it service resource agents layout, okay? Just 1 minute, I'm thinking we might even automate this. Let me see if we can automate this. I was thinking we can automate this. No, don't worry. I think we have to because we shouldn't be creating resource, but now we've created that. Drag all the fields you want to use for an agent. The most important field is the active states. Without the active states, the agents cannot receive any work item, okay? You can even put a location, you can put an account, but we don't need all that. Most important thing is the user, meaning the agent that is assigned, the agent that owns this resource, like the agent itself, the name of the agent. So we have that agent, and we go to agent layout again. We go to related list, and we drag the skills here, okay? You save. Now that you have that, you can now go back to your front end and you had the service resource, okay? So now you've created the service resource. No, you've added the service resource, so you can easily go to service resources, and you can create an agent, okay? Okay, the page is not done properly. I go to the service resource agent, and I go to visibility of the fields. I make it on details and edit page. I click OK. I preview as an admin, just to be sure. Okay. It's showing, that's fine. Then I save. Then I go back again, I refresh this. I'll just cancel this. New. Okay, there's one more thing. Page layout assignment. Edit. Because for some reason it didn't come as default, then we have to do all this. Okay, normally it should come as default, and this could be a problem, but let's see. Service resource, assign it to the system admin. If you want to assign it to a different profile, please assign it to the profile. You save. Now that you've assigned it to the profile, you should be able to create a new agent. Refresh this. Okay, cancel. New. Okay, so I'll just say agent Babatope. Okay, then I call this guy an agent. I make this guy active, and it is Babatope. Okay, save new and create another agent. Agent Spanish. Okay, save as agent, active, then Blackforce demo, save. Okay, so now we've created 2 agents, and what we need to do is assign skills to this agent. Okay, go to related, go to new, and I look for the skills. Agent Babatope speaks English, the start dates, save. And if you go back to the skill, if you edit the skills, you'll be able to add a skill level 5 and the end dates maybe next year. Okay, and you save. Okay, then you go to the agent Spanish guy, you go to related, you go to new, you go to French. I believe I created, how many skills did I create? Okay, let me quickly create another skill. So we just want to assign French skill to this guy, okay? And this guy is a system admin, that's fine, save. Okay, so this is how you just build a profile. The first thing you do the skills, the next thing you do the, actually, am I using the right skills? Yeah, that's fine. So now I refresh this. Skill level 5, doesn't matter. Sustain, end dates. Next year, sustain, save. Okay, so now I have this. I go back to my agent, okay? And I know that this agent, if you refresh this agent, you have a skill. I thought I selected this guy. French, 5. So let me just refresh. This guy is collecting, is collecting work. So now we have this, okay? It has French skill, agent. Okay, actually it's meant to be agent French, but that's fine. We go to this guy and it has English skills. Let's refresh. Oh, sorry. Agent Babatope should have English skills. Okay, I added the French stuff. So I'll just delete this. Okay. and I go to agent Spanish, I'm just going to change it to agent French because it's actually French, not Spanish, okay? And I save. So now we've set up the skills. Let's go to our configuration to make sure that we're not missing anything. Skill base is set, that's fine. Presence configuration, we're not changing anything here. Okay, we're not changing anything. The user is still okay. We go to present status, we're not changing anything here either, but we make sure that I'm interested in chat, but you can also put, I'm interested in flow cases, but you also put chat there, that's fine. We go to configuration, you go to support, check this, okay? But what you want to do here is you want to enable the skill base, okay? You want to enable the skill base, you click on this and you say, the skills available are English and French, okay? And you save. Okay, so you have that set up. You go to channels and you go to the channels. Okay, you don't have any changes there in the channel. That's fine. You go to the queue. You go to the Black Force support queue. And obviously by default, it's Black Force support, okay? If your organization uses Omnichannel, you can link queues to routing configuration. This will push that and you can test that. That's the only configuration you have in the system. Okay, you have the chat because you're not using it. It's for the live chat, and the Black Force support is for the case. Okay, so now that we have that and we have all these sets, we can do one last thing on the skill. And the skill-based routing rules, which is a rule you set to ensure that the skills you are assigning, normally you use a code for this, but let me see if this will work. I'll just say assign new cases to English. No. So what you can do is this. On the case object, create a new field. And you call that field language. Okay. Then you say French and you say English. Okay. So any cases, any of the case that comes in with an English, you assign it to the agent skills with the English. Anyone that comes with French, you assign it to the agent with French, okay? New skill map, you now say, the problem about this is that you limit it. That's why the code is much better. The code is much better to route this, or you can even use flow. But let's test this first before we go into the code, okay? But obviously, I don't even want to show you code because you guys probably wouldn't understand it, so I wouldn't go into that. Language, and I'll say if English, just give English skill level at least 5, and that's the only thing we set, right? We cannot set more than. You want to add another stuff, you might want to, but let's just use language and let's just do skills for now, okay? Done. So we have this and it is active, okay? So by default, any cases that is coming, as long as this case belongs to, as long as this case is in language English and this guy has a skill for English language, then it should be getting this case, okay? Let's test this, and if it doesn't work, we can use flow to automate it because I think there might be some limitation in the mapping, okay? So let's try and see cases. Now I'm just gonna create a new case, and I'm going to make the language English, okay? New, medium, web, and some agent with skill. Use active assignments and you save. Okay. Black for support. Case owner. Let me go to some agent with skill. So this is in queue. Let me see. Limits. So we have one. There's nothing in the omnichannel queue. There's nothing in the omnichannel queue, and that means the routing skills routing wasn't working. Two. Just give me 1 minute. Let me see. We have Omni. Let's just check if we haven't missed any configuration. That's fine. Presence has nothing to do with the skill because the skill automatically just works based on that. You have statuses. That's fine. Routing configuration. That's where you include the skill based, and that's okay with me. Yeah. And you have service channels that is not being touched. That's fine. And this is the main thing here, which is meant to trigger that connection. So I guess we have to use maybe flow or code, but I don't want to show you the code for this type of routing, but showing you the code would just get you lost. And I don't want to show you the things that you probably wouldn't use, but there are two ways to do this. You can either use a code or you can use flow.